In this video, we will be observing the behavior of several eastern fox squirrels, who are also known as Bryan's fox squirrels. They are in the kingdom Animalia, class Mammalia, and order Rodentia. Who knew that these adorable little critters were so closely related to rats? The earliest known squirrel fossil dates back to the Eocene period, which was about 40 to 35 million years ago. Today there is 5 extant subfamilies, and the eastern fox squirrel species makes up one of the largest tree-living subfamilies, which is the Sciurinae subfamily, and most of their species are native to the Americas and Eurasia. They typically prefer 2 types of shelters, which could be a tree den or leaf nests if there isn't many trees around. Squirrels tend to prefer the tree dens over the leaf nest to avoid predators, but they are relatively few natural predators who regularly capture them. These foragers' diets usually consist of eating nuts, seeds, conifer cones, fruits, fungi, and green vegetation. Note these species could consume meat when sources are especially limited, but it's not really their preference, and they only choose this resource only if they're really hungry. Squirrels cannot digest cellulose, which we use as dietary supplements high in fiber, so they must eat foods rich in protein, carbs, and fats, especially during the winter when temperatures are low and food resources are limited. They do not hibernate during the winter, but they do store food by burying it. But come early spring, these seeds have sprouted and are no longer available to use as a food resource.
Eastern fox squirrels, otherwise known as Sciurus niger, are diurnal creatures that seem to prefer spending their time on ground when compared to other squirrel species. As shown in the footage taken from the Fresno State campus, these squirrels are non-territorial. The footage taken shows many squirrels of this species running along the grass in close proximity to one another in search of food. While simply being observed and recorded, the squirrels showed no aggressive behavior amongst themselves or towards humans. However, this does not mean that the squirrels like to be near one another, as most of the squirrels observed were cautious of other squirrels approaching and ensured that the distance between them remained the same. When a squirrel approached the bird simply flew away and the squirrel continued with its business, ignoring the bird and continuing along. Because of their non-aggressive behavior, they are able to live in areas that are highly populated by humans and other species. Most squirrels seem to be accustomed to the students on campus, who sometimes drop food that the squirrels pick up and eat. These squirrels show minimal fearful behavior when approached. In fact, most of the squirrels on campus were eager to approach the small group of students filming them. The squirrels seemed curious about the students and approached to investigate. After a couple minutes, however, when no food was given to any of the squirrels, they seemed to grow bored and eventually left. This made us curious as to whether or not these squirrels, after being accustomed to drop snacks by students, developed any kind of preference for any of the students' snack foods.
Observation of the squirrels in their natural habitat stimulated our group to ask the question, what types of food do squirrels prefer? This subsequently led us to find these 3 cute participants to be part of our experiment that was used to answer this question. Our simplistic experimental design was to place these 5 types of food in close proximity and allow the squirrels to select which one to eat. The options are as follows: bread, meat, corn nuts, almonds, and seeds. Here, you can see the first squirrel selecting an almond, when 4 other options were easily accessible. Over the remaining minutes of the video, footage of the participants selecting different food sources will be played as I describe the other factors that make up our experiment. Our group's hypothesis is that the squirrels will prefer the corn nuts the most, followed next by the almonds, to seeds, to bread, to finally the meat. Our independent variables would be the food choices that we made available to the squirrels, while our dependent variables are the order and quantity at which the squirrels eat the food. As you have probably noticed, one squirrel began to chase the other two away from the food pile, as it would continue to do throughout the remainder of the experiment. This is an interesting observation because the squirrel most likely became protective once the food became a limited resource. Because of this finite availability, interspecific competition became apparent between the three. Due to the fact that it was the largest of the three, the squirrel asserted its dominance and chased the other two away. At the end of the experiment, we gathered the results, which are as follows. The corn nuts were chosen 7 times, the bread 6 times, the almonds 5 times, the seeds twice, and the meat was never chosen. Consequently, we rejected our hypothesis because the correct order was not predicted.
In conclusion, our project focused on the eastern fox squirrel. This squirrel is the largest species of tree squirrel native to North America. In California, eastern fox squirrels normally feed on English walnuts, oranges, avocados, strawberries, and tomatoes. In midwinter, they feed on eucalyptus seeds. Fox squirrels are omnivores, eating everything from plant matter to insects and birds. Their diet depends on what is available in the area in which they live. After observing the squirrels on the Fresno State campus, we noticed that the squirrels are foragers and search for their food around campus. Although the squirrels are non-territorial, they were found to be aggressive towards each other when they were competing for the food we made available to them. Since the Fresno State squirrels are used to eating food humans drop on the floor, we decided to set out 5 different types of foods to see which the squirrels prefer. Our hypothesis was that the squirrels would prefer corn nuts, then almonds, seeds, bread, and would avoid the meat. Although we were correct in our assumption that the squirrels would avoid eating meat, they preferred to eat the bread more than almonds and seeds.